Hey everyone, it feels like this review is a little overdue. Quite a few people have asked for my thoughts on the Fujifilm 18mm f1.4 lens, and I think I've finally taken enough pictures with it to actually have something to say about this super new-ish lens. As with all of my reviews, all of these quite eclectic pictures are taken with the lens in question, and I'll add a few thoughts while we're watching. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you might know that over the past few years, I have fallen in love with the 18mm view on a Fuji. I've tried the wide converter lens on an X100, the XF10, the X70, the Fujifilm Class W point-and-shoot camera, I love that, and of course, the Fujifilm 18mm f2 lens. For wandering around taking city scenes, and for taking some mild, not-in-your-face street photography, the older Fuji f2 lens has been just perfect for me. I reviewed that lens a while ago, and it has become a favourite for everyday pictures and for travelling. I'll put a link to that review in the description. So why then get excited for this much bigger, heavier, and more expensive 18mm? For anyone looking into this, it must come down to the few qualities that differentiate it, and I'll look at these here. First, this new lens is weather sealed. Really only you will know if this is a big deal for you. Personally, I rarely feel I need this, and most of my other favourite Fuji lenses that I use for leisure and professionally are the old style unweather sealed kind. However, it's certainly a bonus to have and might just save you one day. I've said before though that the best way to protect your photography equipment from the elements is to not go to stupid places where it rains, but I appreciate that it's not always as simple as that. I still think it's pretty good advice though. Next, compared to the f2, this newer 18mm has a faster f1.4 aperture. I'm sure for many people this will be the most obvious difference. For city scenes, f2, f4, f8 is just great for me and probably for anyone. But it's for portraits and people pictures that the f1 shines. It enables a more shallow depth of field, hiding the background and making the subject pop a little more. Of course, this focal length is by no means my favourite for portraits, but if not used too close, it can give a look that feels more intimate than distorted. This difference between f1.4 and f2 means that the newer lens can let in twice as much light in darker scenes, and this means you can halve the ISO or double the shutter speed. I've been using my Fuji cameras at weddings for the past few months, and although I really enjoy the experience, my biggest frustration is that the images can be a little noisier at higher ISOs than the full-frame cameras I've been accustomed to taking to weddings. So having a fast lens really helps keep that ISO down and the files looking less fuzzy. Photographs with this lens typically look the opposite of fuzzy. They have a wonderful, clear, crisp look to them. The added sharpness of the images becomes quite a pleasing feature. Thinking ahead quite a bit, when the next generation of cameras are released with possibly much higher megapixel counts, this particular lens will likely be among the best to take advantage of that extra detail. Perhaps sharing the headlines with the bright aperture is this lens's superb autofocus performance. It's simply as quick and as smooth as any lens I've used. You half press the shutter and the focus point turns green. You just have to have faith that there's a motor inside it doing something or other, as you just don't hear or feel a thing. It's just wonderful to use and inspires a lot of confidence. So yes, I guess there are a fair few reasons why you might want this lens over the older version. I think though, the one downside is the size. Wearing the XE4 around my neck with this lens makes everything top heavy and the lens points to the floor. It feels more balanced with the XT4, but it doesn't compare to the incredible lightness of the older f2 lens. That still has a place in my collection and in my kit bag. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them in the comments. I'll also add my links to Instagram and Patreon in the description. Thanks very much for watching and for at least considering subscribing. See you all soon.